In the course of the last 3 months throughout my backpacking adventure through Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Malawi, and finally Kenya, my perspective on what it takes to be happy has been altered. Through witnessing the lives and hearing the stories of the people I met during my trip and how they interact in their day-to-day lives with their environment, their community, and their families, my perception on the word has changed. And today, with this in mind, I am filled from head to toe with joy, love, and gratitude. My adventure began in Uganda. Stepping off the plane into the familiar warm air, I was already filled with excitement to be back in the country I had left behind 2 years earlier, having done a month of volunteer work at the Sabina home in Rakai, Uganda. And this time, able to share my experience with what Africa will throw at you with my boyfriend, Eric. We stepped outside in hopes of finding a ride to our backpackers and began chatting with a woman from Spain named Dalia, who we in turn ended up sharing a cab with. Dalia runs a home in Entebbe, along with her American friend called the Malaika House, where they house 33 children, all coming from backgrounds of abject poverty and abuse. It being late that night, we planned to go visit the orphanage the next day. Upon our arrival at the house the following day, we were greeted by a young girl who opened the gate for us and shyly welcomed us in. We waited for Dalia while hanging out with a group of about 15 kids, who timidly wolfed down their huge bowls of rice and potatoes. When Dalia returned, she took us for a tour of the house and told us of the stories that led to the creation of the Malaika House and its rapid growth and development since. While being there, she pointed out a little girl who has HIV, another boy who, when she originally found him, had a broken femur, a broken arm, burns all over his face, and was extremely malnourished. She told us that they had recently taken in 13 new girls who, after finding out they had been sexually abused at the orphanage they had been living at. The situations of these children before being taken into this home were in most cases extremely dire, with many close to death. When I asked if the kids are able to go to school, she said that yes, for many, but for most this will be their next step. She portrayed that when most of them arrived, the #1 focus was on feeding them and bringing them back to a level of well-being. The next step will be school. We spent the remainder of our day playing with the children, running around and doing arts and crafts, taking in their smiles and happiness. These kids are now all loved and cared for. They eat 3 big meals a day and have a safe place to sleep under one roof with their new mom, dad, brothers, and sisters. During the rest of our short time in Uganda, about 1 week, we were able to take in the sights of the busy, overcrowded Kampala, the beautiful green and red dirt roads of Jinja where we rafted the Nile, and I was even able to meet up with my Ugandan friends who I had left behind 2 years earlier. We finished our stay in a beautiful part of the country, near the border of Rwanda called Lake Banyani. Here we stayed on a freshwater lake where we could enjoy our surroundings by paddling around in dugout canoes and being within walking distance of a small, unestablished town. While the beauty of this stop was something to remember, quite amazing, it was the people we met there that makes this place so memorable. After walking into town one day in search of food, we asked a young man about our age where we could find something local to eat, as opposed to staying at our backpackers and eating with the rest of the travelers. Right away, his face lit up, and he invited us back to his house, stating his mom would cook for us. His name was Beckham. Overjoyed by his act of kindness, we followed him into his tiny village and sat down on a bench amongst a close-knit community. While we were clearly outsiders, many people approached us to shake our hands and welcome us in. The mother and sister smiled as they prepared matoke and potatoes for us over the fire in their outdoor kitchen, and the father remained quiet and respectful while he cut up onions on a small wooden table to add to the mix. Here, the community shares their food. They grow their crops together, taking what they need and sharing and trading what they don't. During dinner, many locals dropped in and out to enjoy a bite and crack a few jokes. They say that in the African culture, the focus during meals is not the food itself, but the people you enjoy it with. Our food was warm and filling, and so was our conversation. We sat out late that night speaking to Beckham about his struggles to find work, and took him the next day for a computer lesson and helped him set up an email. We have continued to keep in touch with him and helping him with job ideas and working towards putting together a resume. Funny enough, I already consider him a friend, and when I receive emails from him on a weekly basis, knowing that before we met, he hadn't even used a computer. I am reminded in the power of a good deed, and how in most cases, not only the person who is being helped benefits. In this case, I feel like the lucky one. Sad to say goodbye to Uganda, the next leg of our trip was to the rolling green hills of Rwanda. Here we were fortunate enough to be able to live with a few of our friends, Francis and Danny, who have been living and working in Rwanda for the last few years. Francis works for an NGO called Mothering Across Continents and is an English teacher at a school called Mwiko. It is here where Eric and I would be volunteering for the next 3 weeks. To get to the school, it is about a 45-minute drive from the house in Musanze, but the drive to me never got old. About 10 minutes into the ride, you turn onto a red dirt path full of potholes and walking pedestrians, and make your way through the most beautiful village one can imagine. People line the streets carrying amazing amounts of weight on their heads. Children sprint from the tops of hills to make it down to the road just to wave you good morning and chase your car as you roll in. There are small mud huts perched on the sides of steep farmland where women with babies strapped to their backs are bending over with a hoe, working the land for their families to survive. As the ride continues, you slowly ascend up and up until you reach the school, which lies on the top of a mountain, overlooking the farmland and the beautiful Lake Kivu, a true visual paradise. During our time at the school, we focused our attention on tutoring the top 16 students in grade 6 in hopes of preparing them for their upcoming exams. In grade 6 in Rwanda, the children are up against a final examination that determines whether they go on to the next level of academics. If they pass and have funding, they have a chance at a decent education. If they don't, they will continue on to retake grade 6 year after year until they are successful. While it felt a bit unfair to be working with only the top 16 students, last year the success rate on the test was less than 5%. So it was important, unfortunately, to focus on those who had a fighting chance. That being said, the official language of Rwanda has recently been changed from French to English. And suddenly the work in the classrooms and the entire examination is in a language that even the teachers struggle to understand and speak. From day one, the unfairness of these children's situations became clear to us, and we knew we had our work cut out for us. Over the next 3 weeks, we worked and worked with the same group of kids, and their progress and work ethic truly amazed me. In the first few days, it looked as if we had no chance that any of the kids were going to pass. But even after the second week, I could see such a change. We worked on reading comprehension, question words, opposites, alphabetical order. Everything we put in front of the kids, they took in and worked so hard on, even at home, to master. The last day we played a game to test the kids on what they had learned, and to see their progress was truly something special. These children work so hard and have such an amazing capacity to learn. They don't complain about their work, but in fact focus on what they need to do, as they know so much of their future depends on it. I still don't know the results of the examinations since we left, but to see their journey and commitment to learning, it saddens me to know that so few of the class of over 100 will ever have the chance at a better education. While we were there, we also worked alongside Francis to create a library for the students. There was a classroom that was not being used and had up until this point been used to store boxes and collect garbage. The three of us made it our goal to make use of this room and create a welcoming space for the kids to read and practice their English. We spent days clearing and cleaning the room. We found boxes and boxes of donated books that were in the principal's office that she had never let the kids use. We cataloged, stamped, and sorted them onto shelves that we had made. We made a reading corner, library rules, had a bulletin board, and hung up posters. By the end, we had a space where the children could come in with their classes and have the chance to read and look at pictures of all kinds of books. They had a beautiful collection of atlases, encyclopedias, and reference books. Stories for all levels. All of this that was already at their school for their benefit, but was being kept from them due to lack of organization and effort. Never in my life have I ever seen children so eager to read a book, or ask questions about maps, animals, geography. These children really love to learn, but unlike the children here at home, they aren't given the proper resources or strategies to be successful.
The rotary desk clock, which was valued at $30, goes to Art Jackson. And the spa whitening treatment, which was valued at $200, goes to Dave Saucier.
The Egyptian rug, valued at $325, goes to Ed Sweeney. The Bargains Group gift basket, valued at $75, goes to Barb Norman. And the final item, the wine gift box and voucher for a wine tasting tour, valued at $200, goes to, again, Rob Rubino. So just to remind you, after the evening is over, you can go find Chris Reynolds at the registration table and he will hook you up with your prizes. I would now like to welcome the
It's my pleasure to just be here tonight. I just want to thank everyone who's been involved, for all of those folks who donated prizes or items for the auction. Thank you very much for your support. Please make note of those folks who supported our Road Rat Club tonight, and let all of us try to in turn support them. It makes the world go round after all. I want to thank all of the Rotarians from the Rotary Club of Oakville West, and Ralph Soder from the Rotary Club of Oakville, and those involved from the Rotary Club of Oakville Trafalgar for your support, help in getting this Road Rat Club going, and also for attending this evening. And we look forward to ongoing support from all of our district to our Road Rat Club. It's our privilege from the Rotary Club of Oakville West to mentor and support this club, but we will be looking to all of our Rotarians to help these young folks move forward in their journey.